Caramel Apple Bochet Mead, aged 1 year. Caramel Apple Bochet Mead, aged a year. Let me do that again because that was really bad. There's a blooper. So did a year do good for this or did it do bad? But we already know. Time heals all brews, right? So let's find out just how healed this one is. I don't even think that made sense, but I don't care because this is the second take on this already, so I'm not doing it again. So, this came... Oh my god, this is 18.1%. Okay, we just did a tasting previous to this. Two. Yeah, we did the banana mead just before this, the peanut butter banana mead, and it was 15.6. Derica had a little bit more than she normally does. And this one's 18% now, so this is going to be an interesting day. Yeah, beautiful color. All right, before we get much further into this, we need to get the white card out and just show you the beauty that this thing is. This gorgeous brown color. It's chestnut. Yeah. That's the color. It's chestnut. And I really appreciate that because lots of times we're just in the spectrum of purple, amber, golden red. Things. Golden. This is brown. This is a beautiful like chestnut bourbon. Brown. Looks like bourbon. It's beyond bourbon. It is. No, it looks like bourbon. Totally looks like bourbon. Okay. Whatever. And now we're going to get to the aroma. And I'm just going to swirl it on my glass a little bit because that's what you use a Glencairn for. I'm just really grateful we're not playing poker right now. Oh, wow. Oh my God. Why? Because I smelled it while you were talking and I didn't even swirl it. And I was just like, oh, I'm pretty sure my eyes rolled in the back of my head. Now, we knew this was good, okay? Because we liked this when we first made it. But now the aroma on this is phenomenal. It's caramel. It's apple. It's honey. There's a fruit in there, too. It's like when they're making the caramel apples. Yes. It definitely smells like that. It's not the caramel apple that's already been made. It's the process of them making it. You're sitting there as a child watching them twist, and you're just like, you're salivating, you're watching it. Oh, it's going to be so good. But there's a little bit of a tartness there, too, from the apples, I think. It's so good. This is a very complex scent for what this is. We did increase the number of layers. We made this definitely into an ogre along the way. If you don't get that reference, go watch Shrek. So it's time to do the short sip on this. And the short sip is really just to acclimate to the alcohol, being that this is 18.1%. Or if you want to go with proof, just because it's a higher number, it's 36 proof. Okay, that's almost like liqueur values there. That's pretty amazing. It smells so good. I don't even want to taste it. I'm doing a short sip. Acclimate the palate. Oh. Oh, yeah. This is good. This is crazy good. We're going to have to fight for this one, and unfortunately, I'm going to lose. I don't think we've drank much of it yet. We probably still have a couple of bottles lying around. I don't think we drank all that much. The concept behind this combination was a sound concept. Oh, yeah. But we've had lots of sound concepts that went awry. Did not live up to the potential. Oh, yes. Thank you. Like peanut butter banana meat. They're failing me. This one, however, ticks all the boxes. It's just... It has a rich depth of flavor. The flavors meld together beautifully. It's got a pretty good mouthfeel. I wouldn't call it super thick, but it's definitely got a good mouthfeel. So what flavors are we getting from this? Short sip-wise, I'm getting the sweetness. I'm getting the fruit. I'm getting the smoky, almost burnt notes. Caramely. So... a little bit of marshmallow. I'm getting a rather full flavor profile even on the short sip. So I'm ready to go for the long sip. Yeah, let's do the long sip. Long sip is when you leave it in your mouth for a while and you really get to taste those flavors and explore it more. Wow. It's So rich. So full. Wow. I mean, it's really hard to describe, but let me try. So on the entrance, I taste the caramel, apple, and a little bit of honey. Then it's not sweet so much as almost savory. And then it turns a little bit sweeter. The apple comes through just a touch more, and then that caramel comes in. And the burnt sugar, just that little bit of a bitterness from a burnt sugar flavor comes in. I'm actually really enjoying that in this because it cuts the sweetness down just a little bit. But it fills your mouth the whole way. I mean, it's just super mouthfeel. Fantastic mouthfeel on this one. Really, really good. And then as it goes down, it comes right back to that honey sweetness a little bit with the more of the apple coming through. On the exhale, definitely the burnt sugar flavor and a little bit of honey. So it's nice. But along the way, I'm getting hints of marshmallow here and there, a little bit of almost a vanilla-like flavor here and there. I sort of get a cinnamon flavor in this too, which I think is really interesting because there's no cinnamon in this to my knowledge, or maybe there is. I don't remember. We don't check our videos ahead of time so that we're not biased. And somebody got a little upset with me that we don't do that because we make mistakes. Well, yeah, we're going to tell you what we taste and how we feel about it rather than what we think we should because that's what was in it. So if I taste cinnamon, it might be because there's cinnamon there. It might be because there isn't. But guess what? Those videos exist. And they're linked in the description below this one. So you can go watch and see if we're right or wrong. But this is amazing. This is really, really good. I'm impressed.
I also want to think that I'm getting a bit of a nuttiness to it. Maybe a pecan or something.
That's it. Yes. Yes.
It's actually the path and the complexity is reminding me of some of the whiskeys that we've sampled.
Yep. Yes. It really does. It has a lot of whiskey flavors in there. And I think that's the Bochet does that because it gives the impression that you get from oaking something. Sure. You know, the vanillins and the tannins coming out of the wood, it gives a similar impression and feel. Wow. Just the aroma. This is one of those that you can just sit there and go and just sniff it all day long, and I probably did a weird eye thing, but yeah, you do that and it's just that kind of good.
But as Brian was explaining his path through the beverage, I was just sitting there being the bobblehead Derica that I normally am. But that's because I was actually agreeing with him, and I was traveling a similar path as I was exploring those flavors.
See, the more we do this together, the more we start to actually see and taste the same things.
I do feel like I'm getting more of the sweetness up front, but it's definitely the non-Bochet honey that I'm getting at the very, 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 very beginning. And then it goes into the apple notes, and then it definitely goes more into the deeper, darker Bochet honey notes. And I think that's when the pecan kind of comes into play too.
Yeah, the combination of all those flavors kind of reminds me of a pecan. That's interesting. As soon as you said it, I was like, yes, that is the mix that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Sweet, nutty, just fantastic.
I am getting a slight hint of cinnamon, and it would make sense that we would have added cinnamon to this because that would be a thing, right? With apple and Bochet and sure.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I think we did put cinnamon in this.
But if we did add cinnamon, we did it perfectly because it's not overpowering.
Oh, yeah. It's
and
just
cinnamon
there.
Often can overpower a beverage if not kept a close eye on.
Yeah, so, you got to be very careful with it.
So kudos to us if we did that.
What I want to do, though, is put this on ice, taste it next to it, and then we'll give you a score.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte giorno di torno girano, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto Antoncino d'amor, delle belle turbando al riposo.
We chilled it, so we can taste it room temperature versus chilled. I'm going to do one in each hand. Okay, that's the second time that I did a side-by-side, and I came to the same conclusion. I like the chilled better. She's not. Watch. She'll be different, just to be different. No, she agrees? So I wonder if there's some bias involved by doing them side by side like this. Because that's the second time we've done this now, and we like the chilled one better. It's just amazingly better.
Here's another observation. The higher the ABV,
oh yeah,
the more likely we are to like it chilled. Whereas the lower the ABV,
that's possible.
It seems like we don't tend to appreciate it chilled as much.
I don't taste the alcohol even in room temperature.
Right, but that doesn't mean that that flavor isn't there and we're just not registering it as alcohol.
The chilled version, though, I'm just going to dump this in there because it's that good.
It is doing a similar thing that occurred in the peanut butter and a banana mead. Where
it was just banana mead.
It's creating a more viscous, heavy.
Yeah, it makes it richer.
Like if you compare a glass of water to a milkshake, it's not that extreme, but that's kind of where we're going with this. Is that this feels much waterier, or this feels
much waterier.
Waterier.
I like that.
I had to say it that way on purpose.
We need a t-shirt that says waterier.
Waterier. See, now I can't say it. You just messed me up.
I ruined it.
Where this is definitely more thick, more viscous, more coating. It's like
coats, soothes, and relieves.
Like a blanket.
No, it for me, she's not wrong. Okay, all the viscosity is there. It seems a little bit thicker, more rich, but I think now I do notice the ethanol that was in the room temperature one that I don't notice in the cold. And I taste more sweet notes, more of the vanilla notes, more of the marshmallow and caramel notes. All those things are coming through. All of the what you want it to taste like comes through with less of the burnt sugar bitterness.
Yeah.
Not that there was a lot of that, but there's less of it now. So when it's not there, it's nicer.
That was actually one of the detractors for me on this, is that
didn't bother me so much.
I wanted it to have a higher ratio of the true honey notes versus the Bochet honey notes, where this
definitely does.
Feels like it has a better balance.
Oh, yeah.
On those notes, and so now I am happy.
We make the rules, so we're changing the scoring system yet again. The scoring is biased and subjective. So if someone really does they gave that a 7.5 and this one a 7, that one's so much better. Well, not really, because if we had Taco Bell that day, it might taste different than if we had a salad for lunch that day.
My suggestion to you as a viewer is that if we rate anything that we've created a 5 or higher, then that's pretty much the go-ahead
worth trying.
To try and make it yourself. And if our tasting notes have something or suggest something that you want to add to that original recipe, and you feel confident enough in your skills to do so, then I would say do that thing. Make it for you.
Okay. Before I tasted cold, then warm. That makes cold better. If you taste warm, then cold, you'll get a different experience. Try that.
So warm, then cold?
Mm-hmm. Try that. Yep. See, that right there shows how subjective and different your taste can be based on what you had before.
What crazy mind magic did you do to me? Okay, so that time, this was all sweet and
warm and comforting and rich.
Yummy. And this started off the gate
thin,
watery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I let it continue, I got the blanket back and everything was wonderful again.
Because it warmed up in your mouth.
But then, how comes when you did reverse, it wasn't...
Because that was your first impression. Interesting, no? I actually knew that would happen. It's a weird phenomenon, but it happens with whiskey. It happens with anything that you drink.
This is my life, people.
Yeah. If you have something cold and then something warm, the cold thing will probably taste better because that was the first thing that hit your mouth. And then you have the warm beverage and it just will feel thin and wrong. And vice versa. It works exactly the same way. I don't really know why. Somebody probably knows the explanation. They can tell us. But I wanted to do side-by-sides on these, mostly because I want to combine the scores rather than give two different scores. It just gets super crazy. There's just no reason. But instead, I wanted to have the side-by-sides, and I think we should just taste them both ways now. You know, do cold then warm, and then after a few minutes, do warm then cold. This was a little bit more trouble to make than some meads are, because you had to bochet the honey and the apples in secondary. But I think it was worth it, I think. It came out quite nice. Are you ready?
Sure.
Are you sure?
No.
Do you need a moment?
Okay. I'm good.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 8.
7.5.
She's always like a little bit lower than me.
Always, but not always.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We've been very close to our scores lately, though. So why did you do 7.5 instead of the correct number, which is 8?
Because the bitterness is bothering me, and I'm starting to think that maybe I just don't appreciate Bochets.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
I like the concept. I like cognitively, I like the idea of a Bochet, but when it comes to practicality, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I kind of taste burnt, and I don't like that. I appreciate that. I believe this is the one that we added more pure honey.
Oh yeah, this was like at least half pure honey, if not more.
But I'm still getting that burnt sensation, and I don't really appreciate it. And
I can appreciate that.
That bothers me. And it doesn't bother me that note's there because I expect it there. It should be there. That's the purpose of it being there. What actually bothers me is that I don't appreciate it, which is kind of funny.
Well, we've said that before, though, that maybe Bochets just aren't our thing.
Yeah.
And that is a possibility. Yeah. This time... Whoop,
see, those...
They're dangerous, man. I'm afraid of cracking this glass.
I think the glass is going to handle it, but it's... Don't do it next to the mic. Stop.
I'm giving them ASMR.
That's not ASMR.
I don't even know what ASMR
pain. That's pain.
Maybe somebody likes it.
This is ASMR.
You have to be closer to it. The microphone's like right here.
This is ASMR. You're welcome.
Okay, so there you go, folks. We just did ASMR in one of our videos. Where was I?
We're talking about Bochet.
Oh yeah,
and the
Bochets,
concept of
right.
Bochet versus the reality of Bochet for us, in particular for us.
We knew as soon as we made this one, if I remember correctly, this is the one that we made in the crock pot with the Bochet, and we thought we didn't cook it too much, and it turned out to be very Bochet yet again. So we added a lot more natural honey, pure raw honey, and I can appreciate what you're saying, but this time it doesn't offend me. I actually like it this way. I don't know if I would like it better if it wasn't Bochet or not.
I think the mental dilemma that I'm having is that I really like camping. I really like cooking on a campfire, or watching Brian cook on a campfire is really more apropos. Let's be honest.
Why?
When we go camping, I never cook. You always do all the cooking.
That's true. I do almost all the cooking at home now.
Yeah, but there's no sushi at a camping time.
True.
So there's like this built-in romanticism and visceral experience that I want to enjoy from a Bochet. Like, I want it to evoke memories of camping and campfires and bonfires and s'mores and all that stuff. But the reality of it for me when I'm drinking it is I just taste burnt, and it makes me sad.
I can understand that. I can appreciate that. In this one, I think it's a little bit better than the last time we tried a Bochet.
Yes, definitely.
And, you know, an 8 and a 7.5, those are solid, strong scores.
Sure.
And on a different day, we might give something a little bit different. But
absolutely,
we're really happy with this one.
Yeah.
And hey, if you guys are happy with this video, look up. There's another one up there. You might like that one too.